So you can see this example of someone who's carved out this lino block, and I wouldn't say this is a great example. It was just one that happened to be left behind, so I wanted to show you. Generally, people who do a good job don't leave behind their good examples, but nevertheless, you can see that the surface of the lino block is dark, and then when you carve it out, it's going to reveal the lighter parts underneath, okay? So you'll know that you've taken away enough when you don't see the dark lines anymore. That is, if you don't want to leave the texture behind. So if you want it to just print clean without any texture or cross-hatching, you would make sure that you can't see any dark lines. This person clearly used red ink, and it does stain the lino block a little bit, so you can see even where the ink was left behind is also what would have made contact with the paper. So that gives you an idea of how deep you want to go. So you can see it's about, I think it's about 1/4 centimeter in width. So you obviously don't want to go too far because it will start to create holes. And you can see this other example here. This person went too far and they ended up with a hole in their lino, okay? And this person also really left a lot of texture behind. This looks rushed to me. You'll have time to do a good job, so take your time. So let's look at Jada's example here. And so she's drawn out her design. And Jada, just remind me, maybe you can bring your sketch over so I can see where's the positive space and where's the negative space, so I don't carve out the wrong things. You were just going to carve everything with lines, right? Are we leaving the background? Or are we taking the background away? Or keeping the background? So just doing lines. Okay. Can you just leave your sketch actually here for me? Perfect. Okay, so these are our lino tools. So they come in a little box. This one's missing a lid, but the other ones have lids. So you have your little handle here, and you have a number of different tips that you can add. So you can see this one is kind of a U shape. There's some pointier ones. So the V-shaped ones are going to give you a smaller line. So the smaller the V shape, the thinner the line that you'll get, and then the bigger the U shape, the larger a surface area you can take away at a time. This is probably the skinniest one. There's also this knife one that's kind of like an X-Acto knife. I would avoid using this one if I were you, because it will likely go all the way through your lino and start creating holes. It is useful for some things, but I would say probably try to avoid using that one. So you can see all your little options here. So if I wanted to start with some thin lines, I would choose the V-shaped one, and it just easily sticks right in there. This wooden dowel is actually to get it out. So you stick it in the bottom, and then it'll pop it out. Okay, so that's what that's for, in case you're wondering. And then we have this wood block set up underneath our lino for a reason. Okay? It's for safety and also for ease of use. So we want to put our lino block all the way up against the edge of this wooden block, and you can see it's got this edge on the bottom, so that goes on the table. Mistake of just having it on the table. Okay, we don't want that. We want it not to move. So that's why we put it this way on the table. Okay. So once you're ready to carve, you want to be very aware of where your hands are. Okay, you don't want your hands in front of your lino tool. That's what's going to happen. What's going to happen? Yes, it's very sharp. You're going to cut your hand. Okay. So you can put your hand behind the lino, behind the wood block. You can have it on the side, but you're never cutting towards your hand. Okay? Take it from me. I have a scar on my thumb. This is not from lino. I was using a Swiss Army knife and cutting towards me, and the little voice inside my head said, "Don't cut towards you." And then 2 seconds later, I sliced my thumb with it. So, not fun. And I'm not good with blood, so I don't want to have to clean up your blood. Okay? So keep your hand out of the way. Now, when we've decided that we want to carve, we want to try to carve away from our design as much as possible, because if you're trying to cut towards it, there risks cutting into it and taking out chunks that you don't want. Okay, so a good way to do this is to pick a line that you can go all the way around. So I'm just cutting in here with my thin tool. I'm going nice and slow. I'm holding onto the lino block. My hand is behind the lino. And once I get to a spot where I'm done, I can just peel it off. It's very soft lino. There's different kinds of lino that are harder, but this is quite easy to carve. You're not going to have to put a ton of effort into it. Once I have a line like that, if I wanted to take this background away, which I think Jada wants to keep her background, so I won't do that, but I would choose a different tip here, probably a wider one, like this U-shaped one, and then I would carve out this way to take away the background, okay? Not towards my figure, because then I might accidentally take out a section of that figure, right? So Jada's basically just doing lines, so she'll be able to go around very easily. And if she wants to do texture, like I think down here in her tentacles, you wanted to do like little texture. So can I show that on yours? So you're just going to take out little bits, and you might have to go kind of back and just take out these tiny little bits at a time. So I'm going in one way, and then I'm coming back the other way to get that little bit out. Okay, and that little bit of texture, it will show up when you end up printing it. And lucky for Jada, her letters here are A's, so they're backwards when they're forwards, right? They go both ways. So she doesn't have to worry about that, but I would just double check that before you carve it, that it's backwards. Because once you carve it, there's no going back. You can't put this back inside. It looks like it can go back inside, but it's not going to stay there. So once it's done, it's done. Jada, was there anything that you were going to totally carve out? Or just lines? The heart? Like the whole center of the heart? Okay. So if you're going to carve out the whole center of the heart, I'll just get it started for you. You're going to go all the way around first. And I've stopped there because it's going to help me if I turn it around. Okay, so you might be turning your piece around a few times in order to really access it the easiest way. And you can also see I'm moving my body around so that I can get my tool in there and go all the way around evenly. So try not to be twisting your wrist around. Eventually it will start to hurt your wrist if you're doing this for a long time. So try to use your body and move your body from side to side. It might even be good to stand instead of sitting. So once I've done an outline with that thinner tool, again, use all your tools. Don't feel like you have to stick to the same one the entire time. So I'll grab a larger tool to get the center out, because then I can do it in less curving. Okay, so really take your time, and then you can go back and feel that area and feel, are there any areas that might be sticking up too much, or have I taken out enough? Right? You don't want to go down too deep. Does that make sense? Any questions?